Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about those moments that just make your blood boil. Yeah, your emotional triggers. We're going to break down exactly why they happen and then show you how to flip that script, how to turn that flash of anger into your greatest source of personal power.
So, let's just set the scene, because I know you've been here. You're in a meeting, you're making a really crucial point, and a colleague just cuts you off. Again, right? Your jaw tightens up, your focus is completely shattered, and this wave of pure irritation just washes over you. And you tell yourself, oh, it's about a lack of respect or professionalism. But what if that intense feeling isn't actually about them at all?
That's the real question, isn't it? Why does that reaction feel so gut level, so completely out of your control? It's not just a simple annoyance, right? It's a deep neurological response that's literally wired into your brain. And understanding that wiring, that's the first step to mastering it. You know, the legendary psychologist Carl Jung kind of gave us the key to this whole thing, and it's completely counterintuitive. He basically proposed that the very things that drive you absolutely crazy in other people are often just signposts, pointing directly at a part of yourself you refuse to see.
Okay, so let's dive into our first section. We need to reframe how we think about triggers. They aren't just these random annoyances you're supposed to avoid. Think of them as critical data, like error messages from your own internal operating system telling you something needs a serious look under the hood.
Now, the psychological term for this is projection. It's basically a defense mechanism where our brain takes these traits that we can't accept in ourselves and just throws them onto someone else. It makes them the problem. It's a really clever way to protect our own ego, for sure, but it's also guaranteed to keep us stuck.
So, that flash of anger, it's not a personal flaw. Think of it more like a notification. It's that little blinking light on your mental dashboard. The problem is, most of us just get angry at the light instead of ever, checking the engine.
So why is it so hard to see our own projections? Well, the answer is literally hardwired into our brains. This section is all about the neuroscience of what's called the amygdala hijack. And it's the reason your reaction happens long before your rational mind can even chime in.
So think of it this way. Our brain has two information highways. There's the low road, which is your amygdala. That's your fast, automatic survival circuit. It reacts in just 12 milliseconds. Then you have the high road, your rational prefrontal cortex, and it's more than twice as slow. So in a race between the two, the low road wins every single time.
This is the race that's happening inside your head, in less time than a blink of an eye. A trigger happens. At 12 milliseconds, your emotional brain fires. By 20 milliseconds, it's already writing a story. That person is so disrespectful. And when your rational brain finally arrives at the scene at 30 milliseconds, the battle is already over. It doesn't get to decide. It just gets to rationalize the decision that has already been made.
And this leads us to what we can call the projection paradox. Because your brain's survival wiring is designed to find threats out there, it becomes an expert at spotting the flaws in others, that it's working overtime to hide from your own consciousness. So you see arrogance everywhere else, but you call your own version confidence. Sound familiar? So, the big question, how do we interrupt this automatic hijack? Well, this is our first tool, the mirror protocol. It's a simple, systematic way to turn those emotional error messages into real, actionable self-knowledge.
The protocol is just 3 questions. First, the trigger. Get super specific. What exactly did they do? Not they were annoying, but they interrupted me. Second, the mirror. When do I exhibit this exact behavior? And listen, your brain is going to fight you on this question. That's actually how you know you're on the right track. And third, the protection. What self-image am I protecting here? That I'm a great listener? That I'm always fair?
And here's a really simple diagnostic for you. When you get triggered, where's all your emotional energy going? If, say, 70% or more of it is focused on judging the other person, that is a massive signal that you're probably projecting. The goal is to flip that ratio, to turn your focus away from judging them and toward examining yourself.
And this is a really crucial point. Using the mirror protocol isn't about magically stopping your emotions. That amygdala is always going to fire first. The goal here is to use conscious practice to create a tiny, tiny gap between that initial trigger and your response. And it's in that gap, maybe for the first time, that choice becomes possible.
But look, self-awareness is not enough. Insight alone doesn't actually change your behavior. Our next tool, which we call strategic anchors, is designed to translate what you learn in the mirror into consistent, integrity-building action. Okay, so what is a strategic anchor? It's not some massive, life-changing goal. It's a small, almost ridiculously achievable commitment that is completely non-negotiable. And why? Because its only purpose is to build evidence that reinforces the identity of the person you actually want to become. An effective anchor has 3 really simple rules. 1, it has to be small enough that you can do it even on your worst day. No excuses. 2, it has to be connected to your identity, to who you want to be. And 3, it has to be binary. You either did it or you didn't. There's no gray area.
Just look at the difference here. Exercise more is a wish. It's vague, it's negotiable. But 20 minutes of BJJ on Tuesday and Thursday, that's an anchor. It's specific, it's measurable, and it's non-negotiable. See the difference? One is a wish, the other is a commitment. And here's the secret. The real power of the anchor isn't in the 20 minutes of exercise or the 200 words you write. The power is in the act of keeping a promise to yourself, over and over and over again, that unbroken chain of integrity. That's what builds the self-trust that makes bigger changes possible down the road.
All right, so let's connect all the dots. When you combine the awareness you get from the mirror protocol with the action of strategic anchors, you create something really powerful. An earned authority that simply cannot be faked.
This quote from Michael Batnick just gets right to the heart of it. In a world that's just full of shortcuts, true dominance, I mean real personal authority, it's different. You can't buy it, you can't fake it. It can only be earned through honest internal work.
And we really need to redefine dominance here. This is not about controlling other people. Not at all. Quiet dominance is power over yourself. It's the ability to see your own flaws without getting defensive about it. It's the integrity to keep your promises to yourself, especially when nobody else is watching. This is the entire journey, right here in 4 phases. Most people live their whole lives in phase 1, just reacting and blaming. The real work begins in phase 2, when you start recognizing your triggers as data. Phase 3 is where you build integrity with your anchors. And phase 4? That's the result. A quiet, unshakable dominance that comes from true self-mastery.
So we're going to end with a question for you. Think about the last time you were triggered. What was the specific behavior? Because that is your error message blinking right now. So the question is, what message will you finally choose to listen to this week?